Mindfulness is not just useful for organizations. It's not just a useful stress management tool. It is essential. It is absolutely essential. And here is why. Here's why. Because ultimately, and at least in my experience, and yoga and meditation practices are part of my daily, they are part of my life. And to me, yes, the stress management benefits happen, but that's sort of the side effects. That's just the fruit, or I guess additional side effect. But to me, the greatest benefit of mindfulness has been expansion. And what do I mean by expansion? I mean by that my own idea of who I am starts to get less and less rigid. And so naturally, the natural impact of mindfulness becomes inclusivity. And of course, when we see all this violence now in the world, in the workplaces, everywhere, in my experience, the opposite of this violence is not peace, but inclusivity. How can we become more inclusive? We can become more inclusive by becoming more attuned to ourselves, more aware. And then even our very idea of who we are, our idea of ourselves, begins to expand. So then we start seeing other people not just as separate islands, completely separate and distinct from us, but actually we start experiencing them as part of us. The whole way, the whole culture, the way we communicate, the way we deal with each other starts to change, because then no one needs to tell us not to hurt this being because somehow, in some way, they're different from us. It becomes to us as insane as for our arm to hurt our leg. So to me, that's the main point of mindfulness. And when the first experience of mindfulness is like the difference between being in the movie and being in the movie theater, right? So being in the movie theater, we just develop a little bit more, we can still be very involved, we can be very engaged, and yet there's just awareness that, this is a picture that we see in front of us, and that in an hour or so it will be over and we can have popcorn. And so then that becomes our practice, that becomes our daily practice, something that is regular. And finally, I believe as Sherman and Jeremy have said earlier, this becomes how we show up. It becomes our state. And that becomes the most determinative factor, right? Who we are. We don't seek peace, we don't build peace. We start showing up as peace.
Mm.
And that takes a lot of cultivating. But ultimately, to me, mindfulness is very, very, very deeply tied to inclusion. And I think on our teams, in these meetings, we talk quite a bit about the need for inclusion and the importance of inclusion in modern organizations. And to me, that's the real purpose and benefit of mindfulness.